What does it mean? And we've asked this question so many times, to answer the call. To answer the call is to live a values-driven life. It's to live a purpose-driven life. It's to incarnate the values of your life in the unique and gorgeous way that you're able to. It's to incarnate and to live the purpose of your life in the unique and gorgeous way that only you are able to do. And to do so is to fulfill your unique obligation. And I want to spend a little time in this conversation to talk to you about obligation and what that means. Because when we hear the word obligation in our postmodern context, in our world as it is now, we cringe. Obligation makes us somehow coil and contract. We're afraid. We feel like we spend so many years in therapy, moving beyond the obligations that somehow violated the unique contours of our essence, right? And so why would we talk about obligation again? We want to be free. But actually, the only genuine freedom is the freedom to fulfill your unique self. Anything else is a form of bondage. It's a form of slavery, right? To actually fulfill, to live your unique self, which is to meet the unique obligation, the unique invitation of your life, right? That's actually what it means to be free. So let's talk a little more precisely about this notion of unique obligation. What does that mean? So there's a fivefold doctrine of unique self-obligation. And it goes something like this. And let me give you an example. Let me see if we can make it a little bit interesting. So imagine you're shipwrecked, and you were shipwrecked with Mother Teresa alone on an island, just you and her. Now, Mother Teresa was a great woman, that's clear. And with her permission, I'd like to also share, as her three biographers do, that she was also an inordinately difficult woman. You don't succeed in actually creating a new order in the Vatican and navigating that level of politics and complexity and really profound human egoic corruption that exists all too often in great religious institutions in every tradition. You don't succeed in doing that by being merely sweet. So she was a very, very tough and very difficult woman. So just imagine you're there with Mother Teresa on an island, and she's gotten older, she's gotten more difficult. As a matter of fact, she's completely impossible. Truth is, she drives you nuts. Now, you know you're not going to be rescued. It's just you and her together on this island for all eternity. She's driving you crazy. I mean, as a matter of fact, you feel like you're about to go completely insane if she says just another word. Then, one day, you decide to go scuba diving. I'm not exactly sure why you have scuba diving equipment, but you do. You go scuba diving together. There's a narrow coral reef. She gets stuck, and she breaks both of her arms. You bring her out of the water. You happen to be a doctor. You fix her arms appropriately and lovingly in splints, and she can't eat because her arms are stretched out. So let me ask you a question. Do you or don't you have an obligation to feed her? Now, I'm not saying, is it a nice thing to do? I'm not saying, is it a good deed? I'm saying, do you or don't you have an ultimate cosmic obligation to feed her? And I've asked this question world over, and 99.999% of the people say yes. Even though, if you let her die, no one will know. It will never be discovered. It will never be found out. Won't affect anything or anyone in the world in any obvious way. Nonetheless, you have an absolute ethical cosmic obligation to feed her. Why? Number one, there's a need. She needs food in order to live. Number two, it's a genuine need. It's an authentic need. Right? It's not a frivolous need. It's not a superficial need. So A, there's a need. B, there's an authentic, genuine need. C, you have the capacity to address that need. You're able to bring her food. You know how to do that. So there's a need. There's a genuine need. That's B. C, you have the capacity to fulfill the need. D, you've identified the need. You know that you have that capacity, and you know that this need exists. Right? That's D. And then finally, E is you're the only person in the entire world, right, who both has the capacity, who's identified the need, and who's able to fulfill the need. There's no one other than you who meets that requirement. So these are 5 requirements. And when these 5 requirements are met, you create obligation at a higher level of consciousness, at what sometimes we refer to as second-tier consciousness. If there's a need, 1. 2, it's a need that is real, it's an authentic need. 3, it's a need that you have the capacity to fill. 4, you've clearly identified the need. And 5, you're the only person in the entire world who has the ability to both identify, right, and fulfill that need. You can identify the need, you have the capacity to fulfill it, and you're the only person in the world who has that capacity to fulfill that need. When those things are in play, you've met unique self-responsibility, unique self-obligation. And when you meet that obligation, you're filled with a sense of satisfaction, a sense of ease, a sense of peace, and it's a peace that surpasseth all understanding. It's a sense of being in the correct place, having a right relationship to the world, being in your story. Now, let's go one last step. Imagine this. Imagine if you were able to live in the world with that experience of identifying a need, knowing and being connected to your capacity to fulfill that need. Authentic, a real need at every moment of your life. And realizing that at every moment of your life, there's something that you can do. There's some way that you can be. There's a song you can sing. There's a poem you can write. There's a way of being, becoming, laughing, living, and loving that's yours and yours alone. There's the unique flavor and texture of your existence. There's your unique gifts. All of that can be brought into play in the world only by you. That realization, that profound realization, that awakening to your unique self, which is the unique expression of essence that lives in you, as you, and through you, creates in every moment of every day a deep and profound sense of obligation that doesn't overwhelm you. It doesn't depress you. It doesn't deaden you. It completely enlivens you and transforms your life to a life filled with a plenitude of meaning, right? Of joy, of awake, alive, sensual eros as you live this life of uniquely awake and enlivened play in the world, giving in every moment your unique gift. Wow.